we're going to get back to a topic where we've kind of beaten to a dead horse, I would say, over the last few months of edge rusher. And last week, Pro Football Focus had a report, or not a report, really a topic just talking about how the Chiefs are going to probably sign a veteran right before training camp, which is what JD said was going to happen like 3 or 4 weeks ago. That's going to happen eventually. If we do sign one, it's going to be right before training camp. A lot of these veteran guys are looking to sign right before training camp to kind of avoid all this other stuff. But Carlos Dunlap was a name that was brought up, a guy who played for the Bengals, played for the Seahawks lastly. Last year, some of the metrics they brought up were, he'd be obviously a good rotational veteran presence, as Melvin Ingram was for us last year. But according to PFF's metrics, he had a 72.1 overall defensive grade and a 15.3 pass rush win rate with 8.5 sacks last year. This 8.5 is pretty big deal because our highest guy last year was 9 sacks. Chris Jones had 9 sacks last year. So getting a guy like this who had 8.5 last year, bringing him in just as a rotational piece with Karlaftis, Clark, and all the guys we have would be great. But according to sources, Dunlap has received a lot of interest from teams. But right now he's deciding on his best fit. And this is obviously what JD was alluding to a couple weeks ago, where guys, they're mulling over what their best fit is right now as they wait to take their time to pick their team and their next destination before training camp. So JD, how would you say Carlos Dunlap's fit would be on this Kansas City Chiefs team?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I think he'll fit in what we're doing scheme wise, no question about it. And I think he'll bring veteran presence, which we definitely need with the young guys out there. And he'll be a solid guy. He'll be a solid guy in the rotation, like everything that you said. So I think he'll bring something to the table. I think he will. 8.5 sacks is nothing to really sneeze at. I mean, just something that is like, this guy he's guys are going to produce. And if you said that would been second on the team last year, I mean, then okay. So that's a guy that we truly need. He's not going to be an every down guy. We know that. He's been playing for a long time. And we know just over the years, usually your production just it wanes. And so I think, man, him coming in, giving the young guys like a lot of knowledge, guys like that is who you can really utilize in a team. Like I said, when you have a young guy like Karlaftis, who definitely needs somebody to lead him, teach him how to play in this league, being a professional. I think Carlos could come in and definitely do that. So I think he could fit in well. I really do. I think he'll bring a little bit to the table. So that's where I'm at with it, man. I think he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, and I know Carlos Dunlap is a guy we mentioned on the show. We haven't really dove into because we kind of think that JPP would be the one that comes in naturally, knowing Spags' system. He can come in late towards the summer and like kind of not really be at a loss because he's already been with Spags before. Dunlap 33, so any guy we kind of bring in at this point is going to be an older kind of guy. The other name that's been brought up on the show is Robert Quinn, and I think Bleacher Report had a simulated trade that would make sense for both teams. It was trading a second round next year and a fourth round the following year for Robert Quinn. I think it's kind of some people were saying they would do it. I think it would be kind of a lot for a guy who's, up there in years. Yeah, obviously he had one of his best seasons last year, but that's kind of a lot to give up when you can go get a guy like Carlos Dunlap. What will be pros and cons of that? Going to pick up Carlos Dunlap, who's 33, is a free agent, probably a 1-year deal, versus trading assets to get a guy like Robert Quinn. I mean, is there that big of a drop-off in town, or would you say not really?
You know what? It's because you see, of course, Robert Quinn's production last year. And so that's what you're always going to compare it to. Well, look what Robert Quinn did as compared to what Carlos did. And so that's always the issue. That's what you're going to – that's the comparison. Would I be willing to give up a second and a fourth? Possibly. I just think right now, because of our situation, you don't want to be desperate and feel like, you need to give out more than what you really need to do, especially if you could get Carlos in here for a decent amount of money, kind of on the veteran, whatever he's asking for. It's not going to be something to break the bank. And so you're not really giving up a whole lot for it. I think, to be honest with you, I think, the Chiefs would probably be looking to try to bring in 2 guys. I mean, that's where I'm at. I think that they will. As far as right now, I think 2 guys is not off the table for me. And so whether that's JPP and saying Carlos Dunlap, shoot, why not? Bring these 2 guys in and win a championship. Guys that could come in that will give something to the team on the defensive line that we sorely need. So I don't know, like you said, Robert Quinn, who's up in age, hey, yeah, he had a great season last year, but who's going to say, hey, he won't have a bad season this year? And so, I don't know, man. Like you said, it's just older guys. That's what you have to deal with. That's the reality of it. So, you don't want to compromise your defense. I mean, we already as far as defensive line, you don't want to put it in something like, hey, look, we get this guy here. Then all of a sudden we don't have the capital to do what we want to do next year and give up 2 guys or 2 draft picks for a guy who just will be here 1 year or whatever, however the deal works. I don't know, man. I don't know. I tell you what, I'm gonna be honest. I hate having this conversation, to be honest with you. I really do. I hate having this conversation dealing with this stuff right now. I just thought that, and I'll keep going back to it, and a lot of people make the same point, is maybe moving the needle a little bit further, getting somebody else in here so you don't feel like you have to start pulling guys and getting guys off the street and whatnot. Not saying these guys are bad guys. I'm just saying that, if you address these issues just a little bit earlier, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it. That's why I hate having this conversation, but here we are. So I'm just going to deal with it, man. Here we are.
Yeah, I would say it's probably been our number 1 topic of the whole year has been edge, where we thought we were going to address it. And we drafted a first-round edge guy, but then we thought it was going to be a little more than that, and everybody else in the division was going for that. I guess my last question here is, you kind of alluded to it a few weeks back about how, veterans are just waiting it out, kind of, that a lot of stuff, they've already been through all this, the grind of minicamp and all this stuff. They're waiting to training camp. Now, when a guy like Carlos Dunlap says, he's received interest and is deciding on the best fit. Now, when it comes to best fit, is he looking at contenders, teams like, because Dunlap has I don't believe he's won a ring yet. When they're looking at best fit, they talk about best fit as best chance to win at this point, being picked up in July here. Are we looking at what contender, what do I have the best chance to win with as far as signing with the team? Is that what he's looking at? Or is
of course. I mean, I couldn't see it any other way. So obviously it's going to be, money wise, but number 2, you want to be able to walk out into the sunset having a ring. If you could have a championship under your belt, shoot, why not? And so I've seen some of the people that he's been garnering attention from. Those teams, the ones I've heard, I don't see any chance of them actually, making it to, to the Super Bowl. And so that's what I'm sitting there. When the guy's sitting there saying things like that, it's like, hey, look, you know what? Let me go out on top. I want to chase this dream. If I could get me just 1 championship, then it'd be all worth it. And so, to be honest with you, I can't see anybody going anywhere else but Kansas City. If it's at the end of your career and you got Patrick Mahomes, you got a great defense, you got guys in the secondary, you got good linebackers, you got a great coach, you got a great defensive coordinator. I mean, you have everything in place to be successful. You really do. And so that would be, in my mind, the main thing that you're looking for. It's got to be a contender. It's got to be somebody who's going to make it to the playoffs, who has a chance to win this thing. And so with the people that's been giving him all the attention, I think Kansas City has the best chances out of anybody, period. It's not even close.
And then automatically, let's say, I mean, all these deals are going to be very similar, but let's say a team let's say Seattle, a team that they had him, they want to bring him back for, a little more than the vet min. We offer the vet min. Is he going to lean towards Kansas City?
I mean, if it was me, I would. I mean, he's been there, done that with Seattle. Mm-hmm. So what does Seattle really have? They going up there, and look, I don't want to talk bad about it. They got Drew Lock up there as quarterback. And so they're going to be struggling. They're going to be struggling this year. We know that. And so I think people are trying to pack their bags, man, in Seattle. I just see it. It seems like it's just, hey, we're sneaking out next week. We try and get a deal done. I know there's a lot of that conversation going on in the locker room, man. I'm telling you, I know how it is, just feeling like you're running in quicksand. That's what you're doing. You're running in quicksand. You ain't going nowhere. Yeah. So why I go all the way up there to Seattle when you could come to Kansas City and you're right there in the middle of the United States. You can fly anywhere you want to be and you get your family there. And hey, at this moment in time, you already established yourself. You know where you want to live. Kansas City is a stop for you before you go to a Super Bowl, to a championship. Come on out here. Come on out here to Kansas City. That's where I look at it.
I mean, best chance to win and the need for your position is glaring. And so
yeah. And he can do a whole lot, man. And that's the thing about it. Like seeing, if I'm recruiting him, I'm trying to get the guy here. I'm saying, listen, look, we got young guys here, okay? And you could do a whole lot to get these young guys on track. And so we really need your help. We can use your veteran experience. We can use your eyes. We can use, all your toolage, all your skill sets and all that to get these guys ready. And so, vet minimum, I think if Seattle's offering it, shoot, even had to go up another, I don't know, $100,000 or whatever, man, go ahead, make it so. The time's here. The time is here, man. We in July, so make it so. Get this thing right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy we drafted Karlaftis. Obviously, it was a need for us, but it's like last year this time, I feel it was the same conversation because I remember we were like, oh, Chris Jones is going to play edge. I wonder how that goes. Week 1, week 2, it didn't happen, and we also brought in Melvin Ingram before that. Didn't sign with us. He goes and signs elsewhere. We don't sign another edge. I feel like it's the same kind of thing as last year. Obviously, we have Karlaftis. That's a difference, but it's still like Karlaftis is still unproven. We don't know if he's gonna, do what he did in college. You don't know if he's gonna pan out. I think he will, but like we don't. There's an unknown there, so it's like I feel like it's the same thing as last year with this whole edge rush position. It's kind of in flux, and it's a terrible conversation to be having right now going in July.
Well, we know he's gonna give us a whole lot, and I think it's gonna be great being a good pass rusher.
Yeah.
The thing is, it can't just be only him. Frank. He's talking about, he's gotten thinner and hopefully he'll be able to show us something this past year, this year coming in. Hopefully he's just reassessed what's going on and saying, look, you know what? This is my time to go ahead and shine. People's been doubting me, all of this. I didn't really have a great season. Look, let me go ahead and just do it right. Let me just become that pass rusher. Let me become that guy again. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're hoping for. But in the meantime, we got to make sure that we're watching our backs. We have to. We got to make sure, man, we in a better position than saying, we hopefully this works out. We ain't gonna go on just hope. Let's put a plan in place, getting guys here that's going to be able to help us out.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, these guys, the injuries happen. That's the kind of the name of the game. And we're one injury down from needing a guy off the street, like, Jason Dunlap or whoever's out there. So, yeah. Now, if we do bring in 2 guys right before training camp, I'd be stoked. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get podcasts.